Hello YouTube, welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and today we're going to be looking at the 1.5 update. This is actually part 1 of 2. There's going to be a 2-part video. Next part's next week as always, and we're going to be looking at the 1.5 update like I said. Now, I did consider taking out the Ford Mustang or the Corvette C7, but then I saw this little gem and I thought, well, why don't I take this out? Because loads of people are going to be taking out those big cars. So why don't I take out this little 32 bhp midget and see if I can do anything with it. So that's what I did. Was it fun? Yes. Was it fast? Oh no. No, it was not fast. I'm going to talk about the car a little bit first. Actually no. Let me talk a little bit about what the update brings. Then I'll talk about the car, and then I'll talk more in depth about the update. So, basics. The new update has new tyres. We have V7 tyres, and I'll talk about them in a little while. We've got 3 new cars. I mentioned all 3. So you got this Fiat 595 Abarth right here. You've got the Mustang, and you've got the Corvette C7, both latest models. In fact, I saw one of those Mustangs just the other day, down one of the roads around here, which was quite interesting. We've got a new track with 3 layouts. You're going to see 2 other layouts here in this video, not the third. And we've got a new tyre wrap, which you can see down in the corner. And there's some aerodynamic changes, this, that and the other. We've actually got proper backfire now. You're not going to see that in this video. What you are going to see is me trying to be as entertaining as possible by pushing this car very hard and trying to see if I can actually get the car sliding or spinning or things like that. And I do manage it a few times, but not brilliantly. So yeah, I'll switch over to the S2 variant of this car later, and I think I do better in that one. So let's talk about this Fiat Abarth 595. Built in 1964, this car only weighs 472 kilograms and churns out a whopping 32 bhp. I'll let that sink in for a while. That's quite a number. On top of that, as if that wasn't enough, you have 44, yes, a whole 44 Newton meters of torque. And with all of that, that means that the 0 to 60 time in this car is a mighty 25.8 seconds. Fiat 500, the car for you. In all seriousness, it is a very old car, of course it's 1964. The cars weren't very powerful back then. Believe me, I think the Subaru 360 that came out in, I think it was the 1950s, only had 14 bhp, and that was absolutely horrible. 4 gears, 14, was it 4 gears or 3 gears, and 14 bhp. So yeah, this car's not too bad with its 32 bhp. As usual, Kunos's modelling standards are phenomenally good. I tell you what I do find strange is that whole Fiat Abarth written on the wipers. It's as if the wipers will not work. I don't know whether they're on some sort of hinge. I'm assuming it's on some sort of hinge, so as they go up and down, that Fiat thing will try and remain as steady as possible. There you go. You can see me trying to slide a little bit. Texturing's also top. You can see in and out the car. It's got fantastic textures. It's got this nice chrome look on a number of things, which is, of course, exactly what you would expect from this kind of a car. What it also has is a very detailed mirrors, and it's got very detailed interiors. Very basic though, very sparse, and that's again what you would expect. It sounds like a classic car. It does sound a little bit like Herbie in many ways. There you go. I'm just trying my best to spin it, but it's just not working. It's just not working the way I want it to work. This car is very interesting to drive. But first of all, it sounds quite interesting. It sounds very old. If you had a car that sounded like this nowadays, you wouldn't. You'd think there's something wrong with it. But of course, back then this is how the car sounded, and I think there's a charm to it. I think there's a charm to those sounds. The way that exhaust is, no catalytic converters, and it's a very interesting noise. It's fun to drive. I have to admit, this car is fun to drive, but in a strange and interesting way, not in a fast way. It's not like a Ferrari where, you know, you want to drive it and you're gonna push it and you think, wow, this is amazing. It's not like that. It's more like you drive it and you're like, wow, this car can, oh, that's gonna hurt. I do perfect that later. This is more of a car that you drive and you're like, yeah, okay, it's alright, it's fun in its own strange and weird and wonderful way, because it's so small, it's so light. You can see here, I'm just trying to see where's its braking point, where do the wheels start to brake. It's an interesting car, it's a very, very interesting car. I'm kind of glad, in fact, I am glad that they added this into Assetto Corsa, and the reason I'm glad they added it into Assetto Corsa is not because there's any use of the car. Of course there's no real use for the car, but it's just a fun car. It's a fun little car that you're going to try, and you're going to throw someone into it. I mean, if you get some friends over in the simulator, instead of giving them a Ferrari, you give them this car, and you'll just get some laughs out of it. You will get laughs from this car, which I think is really, really nice. So well done for them adding this car. And of course they've got the new version of this car as well, the new SS versions, the 500 Abarth SS, and I think the race version as well of it. So you've actually got a bit of history, which I think it's quite nice. That's a lot of nice little bits and bobs they add in there. And of course I like it when they do that. It's a shame that it doesn't have cars that can compete against it. Perhaps Kunos will add cars that can compete against it someday. I don't really know. It'll be interesting to see. I think that's about enough for the car. There isn't much more to say about the car. Actually, there is a little bit to say about its driving. You want to be incredibly careful with the car because it's so light. You turn it into corners. If you go slightly off camber, or you lose a slight bit of grip at the front, the car is just going to over rotate, and a slight bit of grip at the back, and you get that on some of these corners because it's such a light car, and the car's just going to spin out on you, and it's kind of fun. It's very easy to get this car to slide. It's not as easy to get the car to slide right at its limit. And that's not just to do with the car, but that's actually to do with the 1.5 update, which I'll get onto in a little bit. But first, I want to talk a little bit about this track that we're on. Black Cat County. There's 3 versions of the track, like I said. 2 of the versions will be shown here. In fact, I am going to switch over to the S2 version of this car shortly, and then you'll see the other version. 2 of them are 6.5 kilometers, and the other one, which is the longest one, is just over 11 kilometers long. It's a decent track. I mean, I like it. It looks like it's out in the, you see a Fiat advert there. It looks like it's out on the highways in perhaps Texas, maybe Arizona, that kind of area, Utah, some sort of, the southern states of America is where it seems, perhaps New Mexico, that kind of area. That's where it looks like it is. Trying to spin it again. There you can just see, just about started to get the hang of it. The track is quite nice. It's got lots of undulation, lots of different kinds of corners, but I'm not entirely sold on it. It's nice and wide. I mean, it's good for cruising. I'm trying this again. It's good for cruising, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on it. And one of the versions has this area where the road's quite rough. And I think that in itself, I think is horrible, because it makes it useless for racing on. This could be an interesting style racetrack. I think there is a very interesting style to this that could make it a very good street racetrack. You're racing your street cars, the Mustang, the Corvette, you want to race them against each other, take them out here, it'd be pretty nice. But that rough road kind of ruins it a bit, so I don't like that. I like the track detailing that's around it, and there's this nice reverb in these areas as well. So I think that's quite important. There you go. I've just given up and switched over to the S2 version, which you can hear. It's got a lot more power, 65 bhp, and the noises are a little bit strange. There's some strange klaxon noises and bird tweeting and that kind of stuff. It doesn't belong, because there's no crowd, so I don't know where the klaxon could be coming from. It's not a tornado siren, I can tell you that now. And I don't think they'd be tweeting birds in the middle of the desert like that, like this. I just don't think there would be. You might hear the shriek of an eagle or a hawk or something, but I don't think you're going to hear, birds twittering. So there's that. And as you saw there, I got a little bit confused with 5th gear. I'm trying it again. I'm trying it. Have I got 5th gear? Have I got 5th gear? No, I haven't. So that's the track. I'm not entirely sold on the track, but I think it's fairly okay. Now let's talk a little bit about these new updates that we've got. So the V7 tyres, I'm going to quickly go through that. We've got a lot more in terms of surface rolling heat generation. We've got a lot more with the core temperatures. You can see with the tyre wrap, we've actually got 3 outer temperatures and a core temperature. The tyre is now a lot more realistic. It's more sensitive to changes in temperature. It's more sensitive to how it's used, and it's more sensitive on how the load is. So the loads do affect the temperatures, and it does affect how the tyre wears out, which I quite like. The other thing is they've got some new aerodynamics, and the aerodynamics are pretty good. So I like that. There's a lot of aerodynamics, especially on the yaw angle. So when you're drifting, there's the aerodynamics there, and there's aerodynamics more towards the limit, and you know where the limit of the cars are. That's where they've got a whole bunch of aerodynamics. Excuse me. And a lot of they've made a lot of changes to wings and diffusers on GT2, GT3 cars, just to adjust them out and just to change the angles on that and change the aerodynamics and how they work on that. As you can see, I'm trying this. It hasn't exactly worked. There's a few other ones. There's a new drag races available. There's 200, 400, 500, 1000 and 2000 available. So if you want drag racing, there is that available to you. All previous tracks have been updated, and I have gone out and checked this out. I went out at Silverstone. The updates are really, really nice on these. However, there seems to be a little bit too much in the way of adverts now and sponsorship and all of that, and I don't like that part. But I do like the parts of they've added like these camera booms, and they've added all these little things, and they've redone the tarmac, and they've fixed all this up, this, that, and the other, and it makes the tracks look more 2015, 2016. More towards the standard of something like the Nürburgring Nordschleife, or Circuit de Catalunya, or even this Black Cat County here. They've made the tracks up to that standard, which I really, really like, because it brings them forward. They've also added a new classic layout to Vallelunga. So you've got the classic circuit, which has got one of these very dangerous corners. I think turn 3 or 4. It's turn 3 or 4. I think it's a very, very dangerous corner. Very high speed, but very, very dangerous. So I am going to take that. I'm going to take that out for a. I don't know what car I'll take out for a spin there. I'm thinking maybe a Lamborghini Countach might be an interesting one to take out for a spin there. Pit stops are now available in single player races, which I think is another great thing. You have to have pit stops. We've been waiting for pit stops for a very long time, and it comes with its own dedicated app, I believe, that allows you to select the tyres and select how much fuel you want and repair damage and this, that and the other before you enter the pits, which I think is really, really nice. I'm gonna like that because it means that I can start doing long races, if I had any time, do long races where I would be able to actually wear my tyres out, go for a pit stop, get new tyres, get new, top up on fuel, because that would be important. We could run low fuel, see some pit strategies playing out, have some nice multiplayer or single player races, which I think is always very, very nice to have. They've also adjusted the sounds in this 1.5 update, and you've got different internal, external sounds, and they've added a sort of a dash cam style. I don't know what would be the right word to say. I suppose dash cam style view, I suppose, is the best way to explain it. It's not really on the dash because you can see the dials and everything. So I suppose it's just behind, but it's in front of the steering wheel, and that's as people were requesting, those that had steering wheels, that can we get rid of the steering wheel and just have that, which I thought was a really nice thing for them to add. Unfortunately, with me, I'm going to be racing, and I'm going to be keeping the steering wheel there because obviously this is something to show you guys. I can't do it without. Maybe occasionally I might try it. Let me know in the comments box whether you think that's a good idea or not. And now I'm getting the hang of it. Now I'm getting the hang of sliding this car around, which is quite fun. What else have they done? I think a lot of the work they did was on tyres. There was a lot of work on tyres and a lot of work on aerodynamics, actually. So there's all of that, and of course there's also a new, totally revamped backfire system. So there's that as well. Oh, and there's another chase camera which is slightly further back for people who like to have those slightly further back, which is kind of interesting. So they have made a lot of changes according to, you know, what we've been after. I mean, the changelog, I'm just looking at the changelog right now. It's a pretty long changelog, so lots and lots done. I'm just trying not to bore you guys with all of this. Of course, the tire app we've mentioned, and I really do like the tire app. There's a couple of new post-processing filters, so you might want to check those out. What else is there? I'm just having a look now. The roof on the LaFerrari is now customizable. I don't know, I never noticed that in the first place. And improved AI behavior in traffic. I haven't tried this out. This may be something worth trying out. Improved AI behavior. You never know, they might be able to manage traffic a little bit better. But yeah, that's pretty much what the 1.5 update brings. Of course, there are more cars coming out. May the 18th, if you guys have been looking around the track over here in this video, there's been some adverts around the side, and May the 18th is going to have another pack out. So I'll be reviewing that one. That's going to be the Japanese pack, and I've seen the cars available in that, and I tell you something, a lot of people are going to be happy with that. But for now, I think I'm going to end this video. Next week, you guys already know what's going to be happening. I'm going to be taking out the Ford Mustang 2015 and the Corvette C7. Is it C7? Yes, it is C7. I'm going to be taking both of them out for a spin, just to see, you know, what they're like. I am going to be a little bit curious about how I'm supposed to get into 7th gear with this. I don't have 7 gears on my gear stick, but the Corvette does have 7 gears and a manual gearbox. That's going to be an interesting one. I guess I'm going to be stuck with 6. But for now, and until then, thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to our channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa, and leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think of this Fiat 595. And next week, you guys know what's coming, I've already told you, so I hope to see you guys then.